Okay, let's get cracking with the Fife Property Market update for the um, 28th April to yesterday, the 4th of May. Okay, so we're going to look right across the market in terms of the number of properties actually sold, the number of properties listed. Interesting statistics have come through for just last month, for the month of April itself. And while everything is on the right track, there's some micro regions definitely not on the right track. So this is probably the one you tune into right now and watch, but especially if you're thinking about how to put your house on the market, because it'll give you a really good idea about where you are right now in terms of buying, selling, and whether the economy is right and we're in the right position right now for you in order to sell. That's all it's down to. So I'll give you the facts, and you can decide based on that, and that's all you need to do. So let's kick off then and talk about the last week between all the estate agents, right across the right move statistics, and what was listed in each area, and how the property market is going on in terms of transactional numbers right across Fife. Zoopla statistics as well. I'm going to talk about a wee bit indication about the US economy and how that might affect our base rates, whether they'll come down or go up in the message as well when I'm talking about this. Okay, so right across the market in the last week, you'll see there's 145 properties actually sold, 135 instructed. Wow. Demand is clearly outstripping supply at this point in time for the last week in the Fife region. But if you drill down into micro regions, you can see demand outstripping supply in Cooper. You don't see it in East Neuk. It's about 50% in East Neuk, so more supply than there is demand. You don't see it in St Andrews. More supply than there is demand. Leadmouth, Eden Stevens, nine versus nine sales, nine actual listed. Dunfermline, you see demand outstripping supply again. And Glenrothes, Eden Stevens again, and Kirkcaldy, demand outstripping supply. So it seems that the higher price points, clearly, when you look at this evidence at the East Neuk and the St Andrews area, because they're higher price points, they're taking a wee bit longer to sell and they're sitting on the market a wee bit longer. Now, if that if you understand that, you will understand it is a waiting game. Whence we talked about is your home fit for sale yesterday. Richard and I and Andrea did a show yesterday about this. Is your home fit for sale? Keep it in shape with a simple weekly workout, and it was all the right information you need to know in order if you're putting your house in the market and what you need to do. We talked about things like preparing to launch or maybe just start again with your property because it's needing a new fresh start. Diving into your comfort zone, that's the key here. Busting the dust with gusto and the sweet smells of success. How to use the right smells. You ever walk past a shop and you get a whiff of the bakers and automatically you go, wow, and it catches your attention? That's exactly what you can do with your property. Exactly the same smells in order to stimulate these emotive emotions in a buyer in order to make them feel more at home when they walk into your home, in order to make them feel more appealing to them as well. And often they could be thinking as soon as they walk in the door, this could be the property for me. Imagine walking in the door and realizing that this is not the property for me. And often, I'll give you a hint about this, it's because your smelly boots and shoes are sitting at the front door. And they can smell them, and you can't because you're nose blind. That's what we talked about yesterday in yesterday's show. So the podcast is on this link as well, and the videos in this link as well, the show, and as well as the article. The article's a 4-minute read. The other two are an hour long. I would definitely recommend you listen to them if you think you're putting your house in the market, because it will give you a great insight what you need to do to get ahead of everybody else. The reality is you're fighting for buyers out there. There's ever was in the last 2 or 3 years on the market right now for buyers to choose from. Now, whether it's a buyer or a seller's market, we're going to talk about that this week actually in a midweek show. Is it a buyer or a seller's market, or are we in a balanced market? So Richard and I will be talking about it in the midweek show, so watch out for that one. But whether it's buyers, sellers, I indicated a wee bit in here as well about whether it's a buyer or seller's market and what you should be doing. And that's what you need to know as a buyer and a seller as well, in order to make a decision, an informed decision based on facts rather than just what you think it might be for certain areas. I also drill down in the show in order how long it takes to sell in each region, how long, how many months, how many weeks, right down to detail about how long it takes to sell in that period of time. And I did that in a show which Richard and I done this midweek, which was, and you'll be surprised, did you realise, Fife homeowners, that if you miss the 17th of July, the deadline to put your house on the market, you might not be in before Christmas? Yeah, I'm no kidding. Christmas. We're thinking about Christmas move-in dates already. Because when you think about it, if it takes 6 months to sell a property, get an offer, potentially 2 months, because remember, there's 1,000 properties on the market right through at Fife. Now, it differs in each region, each micro region, but there's 1,000 on the market. And we're selling 500 a month. Now, let me just nip onto that and tell you how much they sold last month in each region. Here we are here, right, selling about 600. So you've got 1,000 right now. There it is here, 596. You've got 1,000 right now on the market available for sale. So it's literally taking you just under 2 months, because 600, 1,000, so 600 properties sold next month. There's 400 left to buy. Therefore, two-thirds. So a month and two-thirds of another month, it's taking, so 1.67%, 167%, in terms of the time it takes to sell a property on average in Fife. Now, yours might go quicker, yours might go longer, but there is properties actually in the higher price point taking 4 months to sell. So if you're in a higher price point area, which is potentially St Andrews and potentially East Neuk, some higher value properties in other areas as well, beyond, I think, about 300,000, it might take a little bit longer to sell, and it's affordability it comes down to. So in the week, I actually talked about affordability. I talked about the Zoopla House Price Index, and for April 24, and Zoopla actually concludes and confirms it with me as well, and affirms what I'm saying. Is basically, the affordability issue accounts for two-thirds of buyers struggling to buy a property. In other words, a mortgage now costs you 60% more than it did in 2021 for the same mortgage. That's how much it costs per month. 60% more for a mortgage than it did in 2021. And it's because base rates are higher, but it's for two-thirds of that, it accounts for base rates higher. But a third of that accounts for the fact that property is higher in value as well, because property prices have gone up. And as they continue to go up, you need to get a bigger mortgage to get that. So it's the mortgage that has a strong implication, but it is also the fact that property prices have gone up as well. Now, you can't stop that. This is supply and demand reality. And the more money it gets put in other words, the more salaries and the more people get in their pay packet, the more they want to offer because they can afford a higher mortgage. Therefore, the higher the prices of the property grow as a natural result. So it's getting that balanced equilibrium in the market itself overall. And that's what we'll talk about in the midweek show. Is it a buyer seller's market or is it a balanced market? So watch out for that one. But the Zoopla Price Index is on here as well. I did for the update. And the Zoopla talk about a lot of things, a lot of indicators you should be knowing about, especially if you're a buyer or seller right now. So all these available podcasts, the articles as well, and you just click on the link and you can choose any which one you want and get more information, get more details about what you need to know about selling property and buying property in Fife in the next coming couple of months. Let's jump back to the monthly figures. This is quite interesting, as I said, because if you drill down into regions, as we did before in the weekly ones, it's quite revealing. So overall, on the face of it, 96%. In other words, 96% of properties that came on, instructed, actually sold. Now, it's not the exact same properties like for like, but numbers-wise it is. So 624 came on with all the estate agents. 596 of them actually, 596 sold. So it's 96%. But if you look at Cooper, more properties sold in Cooper than came on in the month, 107%. If you look at East Neuk, less properties came on, less properties sold than actually came on. If you look at St Andrews, significantly less properties sold than came on, about 53% that is, to be for fact. And also Leavenmouth, pretty strong as well, 45 versus 40. You look at Dunfermline, 261 versus 273, 105% down. Dunfermline is outstripping, the demand is outstripping supply right now in Dunfermline area. Glenrothes is a similar sort of pattern. It's a balanced market, 79 versus 78. Kirkcaldy is 118 versus 110, which is roundabout balanced as well. 81% and above is a pretty good market overall. So that statistic, the number sold to the number instructed, it's 81% or more. Your region is doing fairly well in terms of saleability of property. The difficulty comes when you get to higher price points. So most of them that are selling are lower value properties. I mean, £300,000 and down. I mean, that's not really lower value at 300,000 in some in some regions, like for example Glenrothes and Kirkcaldy. But it's lower value when you look at the East Neuk and you look at St Andrews, in terms of these price points, because that tends to be an average sort of in that area overall. But it gives you a strong indication about what's selling, what's not selling in each area. And again, Richard and I will talk about that during the week in the midweek update of the show on typically about Wednesday afternoon. We'll be doing that. So listen out or watch out for that as well. Okay, so that's us gone right across the market. Let's talk about what's possibly what's going to be coming on overall. So I'll just quickly go through, and I've talked about one of them sold. So we sold one this week. It was Newark Street and St Monans. It sold in 1 week. So these type of properties in the St Monans area, Newark Street, actually sell in 1 week. 3-bedroom mid-terraced chalet styles. And they're 165,000 on it offers over. So, this is it here, right here, as we've got it. And it's a 3-bedroom mid-terraced. Had off-street parking to the rear. You can see it had solar panels on it as well. But 165,000 and above, that's what they're kind of selling for. If you got one in the area of St Monans at that sort of price point, and that kind of makes sense for you to think that's a good price, then now's maybe the time to sell. What's going to be coming soon? Let me talk about what's coming soon, Wes. Now, listen out for this, especially if you're looking to get in there before everyone else. So we talk about this all the time about coming soon to make sure you get the first bite of the cherry, because you're tuning into this show and you're getting to know about it first in a particular region. So School Braids in St Andrews, this is a 4-bedroom mid-terraced house that will be coming on. Westerforther Cottage in King's Kettle. There's a 2-bedroom semi-detached cottage that's coming on. Hill Road in Kennyway, 3-bedroom end terraced property. Market Street in St Andrews, 5-bedroom townhouse which has an HMO licence. So that'll be a good one as well. Beach Park in Leiden, a 3-bedroom semi-detached house. There's other ones I know coming on quite soon, but we'll talk about them next week. But that's why it's so important that you register with us, to make sure you get a heads up before everyone else. I spoke to someone about this today. They were talking about downsizing the next couple of years. They said to me, so we just come to you and mention to you at the time, and possibly maybe there's an off-market deal to be had. And I went, absolutely. Off-market deal, absolutely. Some clients do not want to actually advertise their property on the market. They just want to do an off-market deal, potentially with a bank of buyers that we've got. And sometimes that works for them perfectly well, because it's other factors into the equation. It drives them to want an off-market deal. So if that's the type of thing, and that's why if you register with us, we'll have you on your details on file. So if that off-market deal happens, then you potentially get to notified about that as well. If you don't register with us, you'll never know, because it'll never go on Rightmove, it'll never go on Zoopla, it'll never go on S1 Homes, it'll never go on our website, it'll never go on our social media channels, and then you'll never get wind of that off-market deal. So that's why it's important to understand and register with us as well. So what's completed this week? Okay, and the last week, what's completed? Now, this is keys handed over. In other words, contracts have exchanged. Everybody's exchanged their properties. People have moved in. Money's changed hands, and between solicitors and customers and buyer and seller, and the deal has been done. I can talk about what that deal for certain properties, so you'll understand. So Fairfield Road in Collinsborough was a 3-bedroom semi-detached house, and it sold in 9 days when it came onto market, and it went for 5% over the home report value. So that represented another £11,000 towards the seller in their pocket. 211,000 that 3-bedroom semi-detached house in Fairfield Road in Collinsborough went for. So If that's the sort of price point you're at, that's what you're expected to pay over and above right now in the Collinsbury area, probably around about between 1 and 5% over the home report value. If you've got the property of your dreams, actually, you might want to pay a little more just to get it off the market. Wellshot Road in Kennoway. This was a three-bedroom, semi-detached house. I remember this one. I did a pre-portal for this and a personal property too. This sold in 3 weeks when it came onto market. 4% over the home report value. It went for 156,000. So that's what a three-bedroom, semi-detached house in Wellshot Road in Kennoway is going for. So you've got other ones round about that area in the Kennoway area to Wellshot Road that are similar styles of properties. So they're going for around about 156 to 160,000 right now. Orchard House, Orchard Grove in Leven was a two-bedroom first floor apartment, and it sold in 4 weeks for just under the home report value. It went for 163,000, but this is a two-bedroom first floor apartment in Leven, going for 163,000 in the Orchard House, Orchard Grove area in Leven. If that's kind of the price point you're at, and you've got a property in that area, and you kind of think to yourself, that's a good price, then contact us now. Give us a call or message us direct on these posts as well. And we could talk to you about your options and what you have for yourself overall. Okay, I was going to talk about America. It announced just a couple of days ago the the employment statistics in America. Now, why would I talk about America if this is Fife and this is the UK? It's got nothing to do with America, really. Well, think again, it has. Because America has a strong, because we're a global village, and their money markets are a strong indicator whether our base rates potentially might come down as a result, or if they could come down. And this is all to do with the strength of the pound against the dollar as well. So the unemployment statistics. So unemployment in America has gone from 3.8 to 3.9%. So it's gone up a bit, unemployment levels. Now that gives a wee bit of hope and less pressure on base rates in America staying higher or even going higher. Therefore, because if they go higher, that means the pound's going to be weaker against the dollar. That means money is going to cost more to borrow here in comparison. Therefore, our affordabilities and our interest rates would have to go up as a natural result as well to compete with America, because their base rates have gone up to get the proper supply of money into our economy as a natural result of the money markets themselves for lending. If you have no money as a bank, you've got no money to lend. That's why we have to attract inward investment into the UK, and that's how they do it sometimes, through that mechanism. So the fact that the unemployment levels at 3.8% have gone to 3.9 and gone up in America is kind of a good sign for us, and a strong indication that their base rates might come down, which might give us a advantage. Our base rates might potentially come down as a natural result as well. There's other things in this country that indicate that, though. We've still got unemployment statistics to go through, which will be in the next week or two, and we've still got base rates to to get an indication on in the next week or two, and also in the inflation figures as well. Hopefully, fingers crossed, the inflation figures will have come down, which might give a wee bit more hope. But the talk right now, in the last week at Santander, I think it's the NatWest and the Nationwide have all increased their 5-year fixed rate deals in terms of the interest rates. They've all increased them because they realise now that base rates aren't going to come down as quick as they think now. And most financial houses and financial organisations and banks and building sites are actually forecasting that base rates will potentially come down towards the latter end of 2024 rather than the next couple of months. This is why I say, if you're thinking about buying or you're thinking about selling, probably now is the time anyway. This won't change for you. It's not going to make a huge impact overall in the whole scope of things, because the small details that would happen in the next 2 or 3 months, with interest rates maybe going up or down, will have no significant impact on a mortgage if you've got it for 20 to 25 years. It won't really make a much fundamental difference, because interest rates will go up and down in that period of time as well. And when you come out of your fixed rate deal, maybe if you fix it now and it's 5 years' time, then the time it comes out in 5 years, the interest rate might be a lot lower by the time it came out in the next 6 months after that, if that makes sense. Because if you waited 6 months now, then got a 5-year fixed rate deal, then you're going to have to wait 6 months after 5 years in order to get that, and that might be higher as well. So it swings and roundabouts. It's neither here nor there in terms of interest rates maybe going up or down slightly in the scope of things. It's your circumstances which will drive this, whether you're needing, whether you need, not want, by the way. Need is an essential. So whether you need another home as a result of your circumstances changing, in other words, maybe baby's on the way, and baby ain't going to wait more than 9 months to arrive. So you need a new house, another house as a result, to make a home. And that's why that drives it. Also, maybe you're relocating overseas, or you maybe relocating to a different county as a natural result, or maybe down into England or somewhere else to work. And therefore, you have to get another house as a result of that. And you might have to sell your existing house now as a result of a new job offer, which you couldn't refuse. So these are all things that will drive that, these indicators in the scope of things. Okay, let me just finally finish off. Richard and I are going to be doing the Wealth Creation Show tomorrow. I talked about the midweek show anyway, so I don't need to talk about that again. Wealth Creation Show is how to get rich without winning the lottery. Wouldn't you want to know that, eh? How to get rich without winning the lottery. Yeah, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. And I've got a great insight into that because I've done that already. So I'm going to talk about that from a personal perspective and a personal point of view. So if this is something that appeals to you and you have belief in yourself and you actually think that you can actually be successful in the next maybe 5, 10, 20 years, then tune in tomorrow and get a wee insight into do that. How to get rich without actually winning the lottery. Bet you everybody want to know that. And I bet you everybody want it. Who's willing to pay that price to get it? Who's willing to do the hard work to get it? Because it's out there. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. And there's about 10 different tips and 10 different areas you should look at in order to how to get rich without winning the lottery. And we'll again, as I said, 12:30 tomorrow. Richard and I'll be talking about that on Bank Holiday Monday. Hopefully, most people will be up at that time, seeing that everybody seems to be out on the town tonight. Maybe that's why the numbers are a wee bit less than before. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. But anyway, you can always watch on the rerun or listen to the podcast later on. But if anybody's wanting to join us, we're at 12:30 tomorrow on the Wealth Creation Show live on these channels. Until next time, guys, have a fantastic rest of the weekend and a great Bank Holiday Monday tomorrow. And we'll see you later. Bye-bye for now.